Hello, I'm Carolyn Herbert from the Finance News Network, and joining me from Orocobre to discuss the company's progress is Managing Director and CEO Richard Seville. Richard, welcome to FNN.
Pleasure. Good to be with you.
Now, before we get into the questions, can you perhaps introduce the company to us?
Certainly, Carolyn. Yes, we had our IPO at the back end of 2007. Olaroz was our focus then, has remained that way ever since. We completed our feasibility study in 2011 on the development of the project, kicked off construction in the beginning of 2013, and produced our first purified ton of lithium carbonate in the early 2015. And since then, we've been ramping up production. The company is ASX listed and on the TSX. We're in the ASX 300. And we've got a market cap of about $500 million.
Now, Richard, to your progress at the Olaroz lithium facility, what have been the highlights there?
Well, over recent time, our focus has all been about ramping up production. We had a number of bottlenecks left over from construction, and over the last 12 months, we've been working through those. We hit break-even in January with a production level of just less than 700 tonnes, increased that in February to 761. And should be at nameplate capacity in September. That's a bit over 1,400 tonnes per month. And our focus right now is all about improving operating practice, maintenance practices, and getting the efficiencies out of the plant that's necessary for nameplate capacity.
Now, moving to Argentina, can you talk about the recent change in government there, policy changes, and what this means for the company?
Look, the last few years weren't easy operating in Argentina. Everything was tight, importation controls, currency controls, high inflation, but with the change in government, life's become a lot easier. Inflation will work its way out of the system. That's the plan by government. But from us directly, we've had the dollar clamp removed, which allows us access to foreign currency. Importation controls have been removed, and export duties have also been removed. It's moved back to what we'd all consider a normal environment, the kind of environment that you'd operate in Australia, for example. So for us, it's a major change. We did really well to keep things going at the right pace with the previous administration. With the current administration, the shackles are off, and we're in a great position.
And a more general question now, Richard. There's a lot of interest in lithium given demand from electric car makers and battery producers. What's Orocobre's approximate share of annual production, and what's your current view of the lithium market and market outlook?
Well, it's a very, very exciting place to be at the moment. When we're at nameplate capacity, we'll be producing just less than 10% of world demand. We're entering the market at a great time. Supply is tight. There hasn't been the increase in supply that people were expecting. In fact, we're really the only new supply that's come to fruition from all the other sort of projects that were around some years ago. And demand is growing strongly. You mentioned car makers, you mentioned battery producers. The battery sector is not only the portable electronics, electrical equipment, it's also stationary battery farms, power smoothing, working in the grid, all of that kind of stuff. You've seen Tesla's Powerwall. There's big demand then in applications in power, and then, of course, the automotive sector, which you referred to as well. So for us, it's a great time. Prices are rising strongly. Everybody's seeing the kind of spot prices in China. Albemarle, FMC, and SQM in their long-term contract pricing may not be achieving those levels of pricing, but we're achieving prices now that we would not have thought possible back a few years ago. In terms of our customers, we're supplying into all three sectors, chemicals manufacture, technical grade into industrial usage, and to the battery sector. And there's strong prices in all of those sectors. So very good time to be entering the market for us.
And now to your recent capital raising. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, we really wanted to make sure that we would never have to raise money again. We raised $85 million. We had a very good support from existing shareholders. We also brought in on board Australian, Asian, US and UK new institutions, the kind that have a profile of long-only, sticky investors, so they're for the long haul. People who wanted to be in the sector and to be there for, let's say, 3-5 year timeframes. So very good caliber of register we've built up. The $85 million basically covers principal interest payments for the project over the next 12 months and money to go into the debt service reserve account when we have completed successfully our completion tests, and then buffer. So it's about providing the balance sheet that takes us through for the long haul.
And finally, Richard, what are the key targets for the company in 2016?
Really, there's only one that's worth talking about, and that's achieving nameplate capacity in September or before September this year at Olaroz. That's what the focus is on the year, and we're going to work very, very hard to achieve that.
Richard Seville, thank you for the update.
That's a pleasure. Good to talk to you.